Hello and welcome back to Trans Voices in Conversation, the podcast where we give insight into the lives and careers of some of the many talented creatives we at TVC have had the pleasure of working with. My name is Misia Butler. I am an actor, writer and producer with TVC, and I will be your host for the series. Okay, so welcome Robyn, Holdaway and Eleanor Faye to this podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Would you like to introduce yourselves both briefly? Robyn, go first.
Hiya. Oh, God, I don't know what to say now. So I'm Robyn Holdaway. I'm non-binary. I'm an actor. I'm from London. I am an age between 20 and 30, depending on the casting breakdown. What else do you want to know? I'm married to a beautiful woman who I'm very grateful for in my life. I'm currently quarantined in my home with said beautiful woman and 2 cats. I consider myself something of an activist. Can we say that? Yeah, I'm certainly about promoting knowledge and awareness of people and their identities. I went to GSA and I graduated a few years ago. I graduated a few years ago. A couple of years. Yeah, it's fine. You can work it out from my spotlight. Brownie points to anyone who can work it out. So I graduated then, and I've been working since then in various forms, mostly stage or TV, a couple of commercials. Just started working voiceover, excited about that. And other than that, I'm a fitness professional, by which I mean I teach classes about how people should move their bodies. I'm also a personal trainer and I specialise in working with trans and non-binary clients. That's me. Woot.
Great. Moving on, Eleanor.
Hello. My name is Eleanor, but most people call us Ellie or Elle or Els, Bells or various names.
So take your pick.
Anything. I'll answer to anything. I am also non-binary and I'm also closer to 30 than I would like to be. I'm an actor, singer, dancer, /writer, /creative, anything that'll pay us, really. I do a bit of choreo. My career's a little bit silly. I do silly jobs. I spend a lot of time... No, my career's very silly. I spend a lot of time dressed as Paddington Bear. I'm a football mascot.
That sounds amazing.
It's a bit chaotic. Chaotic is a good word to describe me in my life.
That feels like a very common feeling in the creative industry as a whole, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to be a little bit, don't you?
You've got to be mad, otherwise why would we do it?
Yeah, exactly.
So you do circus 100%. Things as well?
I do. Thank you.
It's all right. We have this in common. Maybe it's non-binary people are just drawn to the circus.
Maybe, yeah. Yes, I spent a bit of time in the circus as well.
Lovely.
Who doesn't really?
Yeah.
Who hasn't been in the circus,
occasionally run around with fire and silly lycra costumes for money? Yeah. Really, if you haven't, are you living? That's the question.
Not at all.
Missing out.
All right, well, my next question is, what pathways did you both use to get into the industry? Robyn, you sort of talked a bit about GSA. Would you like to go into a bit more of that?
No, I did. I always say I really acknowledge my privilege and where I am. I came from a family that was able to help me go through things like youth theatre and Stagecoach for my sins. I say that I work for Stagecoach. There's nothing wrong with them, but yes, a lot of Stagecoach. So I was always into acting and moving around and singing and stuff like that from a very young age. And then I went to the Brit School, so I lived close enough. I was in their catchment for musical theatre, not classical acting. I hate calling it straight acting because,
Oh my God, same. I hate it.
I do have to act straight quite a lot, but I don't think that's what we mean. So I went to the Brit School for Musical Theatre for 4 years. I did my GCSEs there as well as my A-levels. And given that my GCSEs were Brit was more renowned for the sort of academia than my previous school, which tells you a lot about my previous school. But yes, so I went to Brit and then I took a couple of gap years, sort of worked out who I was, kept working with various arts, always taught drama, taught what people would pay me to teach. And then I went to GSA 3 years for, just classical acting, straight acting, whatever we're calling it. I did that. And while there, I took part in the Alan Bates Award in my final year, and I got down to the finals, which was really, really helpful. I got my agent, from GSA, and then I kind of went from there. It's pretty almost classic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's quite it's a route, and in many ways it's a simpler route than some. But it's also obviously getting into schools and doing things like that isn't easy. But they do have benefits. Like they do help you with things like a showcase and things like obviously the education you get and stuff like that is incredibly helpful. So as much as you can be sort of a theatre academic, no, not really, because it is GSA is a wonderful school and is a drama school rather than a university. So I was in blacks all day, every day in a studio with varying degrees of light, doing strange things like being a chorus of rubber bands.
Naturally.
Was a highlight.
All right, Eleanor, could you tell us a bit about your route into the industry?
So I trained at a school called SA Performing Arts Centre, which is in the northeast. It's a tiny little school in Byker, famous for Byker Grove, if you're old enough to remember Byker Grove.
Byker Grove.
I feel like, Misia, you don't know what Byker Grove is, do you?
This is a baby.
Out me as a baby on this podcast. No one knows.
Oh, God. Jesus. Oh, I feel very old. Byker is a real place, and am I allowed to swear?
I'm sure Harry has.
Okay,
yes.
right. Byker's pretty much a shithole, like, I won't lie. It's your classic, like, northeast high street, and then just back is a converted snooker hall, which is opposite Byker Wall, if you're from the south, which is like this, it's renowned for being the roughest estate in the country. And then there's just this lovely little theatre school where you do ballet at 8 a.m. and so I didn't really have a very traditional theatre training. It was certainly unique, but I'm really, really proud of training there, particularly because it's not well known, and I think there's often an idea in this industry that you have to go to these big name schools and you have to have this wonderful classical training. But actually, there was 6 people in my year, and out of those, I think, I won't say how long I've been graduated, 5 of us are still working consistently, which is a lot higher than the average for most schools, because rather than, this is going to sound daft, but rather than like training in the actual skills, we learn a lot of how do you get work, how do you maintain that, how do you build yourself a career so that you're not constantly surviving on muggle jobs, like normal people jobs. So our existence in the industry is often, we stay a lot longer and we work a lot more, even if it's not, the jobs that people look upon as being worthwhile. But it was brilliant. It was the best 3 years of my life. And then I graduated and I moved to London and I just started working.
That's great. Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty boring, really.
Not at all. Not because it is really important that we show all the different ways that people can get into the industry. Because I think a lot of people,
absolutely.
And a lot of people, I know for me, have asked me, how do I do this? And I felt very much like I fell into the industry, and the fact that you can go more traditional ways, especially as just trans performers, I think that doesn't seem like a route that many people feel they can go down.
I feel I should mention now regarding sort of being non-binary is I've never been a feminine female, and I spent a fair amount of I know, shocking to people who know me, but I spent a fair amount of my drama school time being taught how to be a girl and how to walk in heels and not be a woman. I should probably say this because I am, small and pixie-ish and apparently not a lot of this time, and I was calling myself genderqueer or gender fluid. I've never I was still using female pronouns, and I was still being put into cis female roles. And I wish in many ways that I'd had the knowledge I have now going through drama school, because I think it would have given me just a little bit more oomph to turn around and say, well, no, actually, I am non-binary, and why aren't you looking at me for these roles? And I remember auditioning in third year. They had 3 shows they were doing, and they said they'd do one of them gender blind, or it would be all female. And so they didn't say which one. And so I auditioned for one of the shows with a male monologue, and I was like, finally, I might actually get seen for something. I feel connected to this character far more so than anything else. I didn't get it. And, you know, the rest is history. I played a girl, sort of age 12, with a cute little pink puffer jacket and a clip in her hair, and that was that. And like I say, I wish I'd had something like this I could listen to and say, so I could turn around to my tutors and go, this is my gender identity, I'm valid, there's a place for me in the industry, please stop trying to make me fit into these boxes. But I didn't. And I think that, I don't know how my tutors would have reacted, but I hope that especially now things in the big schools, whatever that means, are becoming a little bit more open and welcoming to people with gender non-conforming identities or trans identities, simply because we exist, and you know there is a lot of work out there at the moment, and that's exciting. And I feel like if you're somebody who's considering a career in acting or the arts in any way, that if you can be comfortable and confident in your identity, that will get you far more work than pretending to be something you're not. And that starts at drama school for me. And if you can, like I say, have the guts to turn around and be like, I'm here, this is me, stop ignoring me and erasing me, then actually you'll get to the school that's right for you and be accepted for who you are rather than pretending. Because I felt like I was pretending in drama school for 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, people just need that, that sort of presence of an identity just in front of them sometimes to really recognise that it exists, I think.
100%. And the barriers to entry are so high anyway that, particularly for young trans people, there's that extra level of, fuck, how do I actually get into the school and then be able to combat all, and especially because a lot of the drama schools, all the teachers are relatively older and quite privileged and have no interest in being accommodating to people's needs. And I find it incredibly infuriating. It really pisses me off.
I feel I should say,
it's like one of my big passion points.
It was helpful for me at GSA that actually we had gender neutral toilets simply because we just had toilets and they were single occupancy anyway. And the thing that I'm going to say the word ballet to you guys now, and I'm going to feel the wince of, do you like pink tights and do you like to be in the girls ballet group or the boys ballet group? And you're there going, where do I go? I feel like I've said this before. I really enjoy ballet, but I wish I'd known when I started ballet at 14. Yes, I was older. If someone had told me then, yeah, but you can do what the boys are doing. You don't have to be the feminine idea of a ballerina. You know, you can dance ballet however you want. I feel if someone had told me that, I'd have felt far more of a love for it. As it stands, I used to be like, this is so awkward and not me. So it's interesting how gendered drama school, even with the best intention, can be.
For you both as trans and non-binary specifically performers, do you find that you often have to make compromises about the roles that you take, seeing as a lot of roles are not non-binary, and to kind of go through life getting jobs, you have to take, I don't know, cisgender females, you said, Robyn, or more maybe neutral roles that are more feminine?
Oh God, 100%. I don't even get seen for non-binary roles.
Really?
Like, yeah, which is, I mean, it's not fine, but pretty much my entire career is playing Disney princesses.
Yeah.
I play, like, I've been Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella in pantomime. Like, that's my casting bracket. And it's not that I don't enjoy it. I am fine. Well, I think you can hear in my voice that I'm not fine with it. Yeah. But, like, it's not the end of the world for me. But for me, it's like I get roles that are stereotypes. I don't get to play real people. Yeah. And that says more about the roles that we're writing for women, I think, than about what it's like for me to play a cisgender woman. I get more annoyed at the terrible characters that I have to play. Like, that's for me the biggest issue. But I don't get seen for non-binary characters, or if I do, this is the problematic bit. I get asked to read for trans women, which
Really?
is that's not okay. That's not okay.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
quite a few of them, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
No.
Yeah, I don't get seen for it. So,
I mean, I guess I really hear what you're saying, because I think there's a wider issue that it's always good for us to highlight, in that there are still not, for cis women, enough roles, interesting enough roles, or reflective roles of society, and, you know, a moment for that. Because obviously, while we are both non-binary, we have had, in many ways, cis female upbringings and experiences, and to some degree, we all have. But
Yeah.
it's, I mean, I can't speak for you, Misia, but there's many, it's, there's just so few well-written female roles still out there that I really hear what you're saying. In many ways, I'm spoiled in many ways, because I've said this before. I feel like I fit the acceptable non-binary, because I do get seen for non-binary roles, and it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love being able to represent myself, my community. It feels more comfortable. It's a really affirming thing to happen. And while those roles are still infrequent, they tend to be one of two things. Either they're really well thought out, because they are just, you know, they're looking beyond gender. They're saying, you know, this person has other things going on. Or, as you say, they are a stereotype of, I'm non-binary, which means I'm a troubled teenager, and, you know, I'm non-binary and everything is about my gender. And you go, no, you could just play a character, and
I'm a person.
I just happen to be,
Yeah.
you know, I just don't happen to think gender's a massive part of my existence in some ways. But it's the cis female parts I get seen for, which is, if you look at my CV, predominantly what I've got, often tend to be teens and troubled. They tend to be, you know, angsty, edgy, and in many ways I'm very fortunate, as I say, because I don't get the Disney princesses, and these tend to be people. They tend to be people with problems or issues or stuff going on, and that is really lovely for an actor to kind of be able to dig into. So I'm fortunate, but again, I've cultivated that. I've cultivated who I am. But as you both know, I'm a massive fluffy teddy bear who likes their cats very much and baking. But I don't necessarily get seen for these fluffy characters who like doing that, because that's not what people associate with an undercut and sort of how I look. Most commonly, I'm sort of in for supernatural beings. Please don't let that stop. I love that. Yeah. Please see me for every sprite, alien, sci-fi thing you want to. But I think it says quite a lot that these characters I feel most comfortable being are the supernatural, because they are beyond, A, they're fun, and B, they go beyond our concept of gender, and they're not so limited. Limitations, or, you know, what do they wear? How do they feel? So
I feel like I can't change my appearance too much, because I just won't work. I think even if I was bald and dressed in the most masculine way you could imagine, I think because of my voice and because I've had a lot of dance training, so I've sort of been conditioned to like hold myself like a dancer, that I don't think I'll ever be seen for non-binary roles. You see, ever. I think I could be
I do disagree with that. I think that I've said this before.
Do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that if your outside reflects who you are, and if that's currently absolutely accurate, that you are sort of happy with everything and how you look, if you're really comfortable in yourself, the way your hair is, the way your voice is, the way your body is, you are non-binary. Therefore, you will be seen for non-binary roles. But if you're holding something back, if you're going, well, I'm going to keep my hair long because I'm worried it won't get me roles, or because then there's this level of artifice that I don't actually think is going to help you. And it will mean that you're forever chasing what a potentially casting director or producer would want without actually knowing what that is. And why can't non-binary look like you?
Oh God, absolutely, 100% agree. And I don't want to change how I look. I'm totally happy with how I appear. But I think because of that maybe one day people will realise that non-binary doesn't just mean like androgynous or boy light, whatever that means.
Hey, poster for boy light. I'm like Diet Coke.
Literally. But I just think in my lifetime, it's not going to happen.
Oh, but do you really think it would be that long?
I don't think it'll.
You could.
No, absolutely.
Why can't you rock the hair that you have and rock the voice you have and your background? Like, you are still an actor, and if the character is a dancer or isn't, then I'm sure you could adapt that. but
Oh, God,
you don't need to change
I
who
have
you
the
are.
talent.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen you act. I know you are talented. I know you have the capacity
thanks,
to
baby.
change. But it's that thing of you shouldn't feel that who you are is the biggest factor, because it needs to come from creative casting processes, I'd say. And if we can't change it, who the hell's gonna? Because this is an exciting time to be alive.
All right, I wanted to talk a little bit more about, both of you mentioned training physically with dance, and Robyn with personal training. Being trans in that sort of environment, does that come into it at all? Do you find that the work on your body is at all, reminiscent of any dysphoria or anything like that?
Yes.
Me and Robyn are both just nodding.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said with fitness instructing, I teach classes. And while I have some regulars, mostly I'm teaching new people each week. So I cannot be bothered to come out to every single class I teach. But the environment I teach in for a well-known London gym is...
Is that the well-known London gym that I also attend?
Yes, the well-known London gym you also attend. And it's a lovely gym. And actually LGBTQ friendly. But it's a gym. And unfortunately fitness, especially the sort of fitness I'm teaching, is very gendered. And I've been, told to look aspirational, which apparently translates to a sports bra and leggings. Because I could wear the same clothing that a male gym instructor wears, and it's not aspirational, because apparently there's something wrong with joggers and vests, but I don't know. And that's really difficult. And I say, I'm not coming out to every class, so I just want to get a vest that says they, them, and leave it at that. But you can't avoid it. There are male and female changing rooms, or you have to go through the thing of, can I please have the key to the disabled separate loo? Because I don't quite feel... And then it's like, I'll just go into the bright pink room and take my things off and hope nobody asks about the binder, because do not teach or do fitness in a binder. That's dysphoric as anything. And then I go and teach, and it's she, her pronouns, and I actually teach under my given name, partly so I can have separate invoicing and accounts and things. And even that, I'm just there like, it doesn't feel like my name anymore. And it's a really challenging thing. And also the idea of the non-binary ideal, I don't know if you found this too, is often, if you're AFAB, to be muscular or to be androgynous. And especially in a gym, that's really hard, peeps. Like, I'm going to say this now for anyone listening. If you're looking at androgyny and going, I really want that, God, it's hard, especially if you're someone who naturally... I'm sorry, it sounds this, but like, do you want to starve a bit? And do you want to spend every day of your life measuring and weighing your food? I've been there. It's called an eating disorder, and it's not healthy. A lot of the time, if you see somebody AFAB with a six-pack, sometimes it's brilliantly healthy, sometimes it's just how they are, but sometimes it's because they're not eating enough food. And, I'm saying this as somebody who's right in the middle of all that and having to cope with that myself. But fitness is not only bad in terms of clothing you wear, but also what goes on underneath and kind of the unrealistic expectations. And basically, if you're not as an AFAB person, the curvy glutes and sports bra, gym bunny female, you have to be this kind of CrossFit, muscly, things like that. And I'm there kind of not as either. So I turn up to a class and they're like, are you going to teach yoga or spin? And I'm like, no, I'm going to teach you how to use a kettlebell.
Yeah.
Just, I might not be the size of a kettlebell, but it's fine. So that's really hard. And there's not that many activewear brands that cater to non-binary people, and sports bras and all of these things that maybe people aren't going to talk about. But wearing a sports bra all day, every day is similar to wearing a binder, and it can be detrimental. It's meant that I don't breathe deeply enough, and it's given me certain like I need to see an osteo occasionally because there are issues. And these are all the real life things that we kind of cope with every day. And if you are suffering from any of these issues, I'm sure Misia will be able to give some links to some great places to look at. But especially if you're a sporty trans or NB person, A, come talk to me, I'm always friendly, and B, really consider your health as an overall being rather than just as sort of a, I must look like this, That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from a dance perspective, I think I mean, where do you even get started? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm quite lucky because I'm totally flat-chested anyway, so I don't even have to wear a bra or anything.
Gel.
Which makes sense so much now. Like, when I was younger, everyone was like, but you've got tiny boobs, you don't want to get a boob job or anything. And I was like, no. And now I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
The little things.
Just the little things that you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
But massively so for me. When I was having like my little mini breakdown last year where I was like, I don't know what I am, I realised that I don't know what both my dress sense and my physicality would be like had I not had so much dance training, because my school was it was a council for dance education and training as opposed to drama education and training, so we had fuckloads of dance. I'm sorry, I'm very sweary. And it was very much, this is what you wear, this is how you stand, this is how you hold yourself. Girls over here, boys over here. Girls is hyper femme choreo. You have like I stand in a bevel. If you've never seen a bevel, if you see like a showgirl and they've got like their legs crossed and you have an ankle to ankle to accentuate the hourglass figure, I just stand like that. I realised a few weeks ago, I don't stand like a human. I stand in a showgirl pose, which is absolute madness. And so I had this whole like month where I was like, I don't know if I'm a person or a performer. And that is a weird thought process to go through. And it's not until now where I'm like, actually, I know who I am as a person and I know what makes me comfortable, that in a dance class, and professional dance classes are a whole other level of fuckery, now I can be like, actually, I don't want to do the girls part, or I don't want to do that choreo because that makes me uncomfortable. But what I will do is this alternative. But if when I was 21, the thought of saying that would be absolutely terrifying.
We've talked a lot about how difficult, physical work can be for trans and non-binary performers, or trans and non-binary people in general. Do you find also, though, that there can be a positive aspect of it? Obviously, there's a lot of mental health stuff linked with physical work, both in a negative sense, as you've said, with eating disorders and things like that, but also it can promote serotonin and dopamine and things like that.
Oh yeah, exercise is fab. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if I thought it was all terrible.
Yeah.
I think exercise is like it can be really helpful. It can be key for, as you say, there's so many psychological benefits and also health benefits. I'm not going to go into that now, but Google it. I'm sure you will find all the wonderful benefits of exercise, especially for the trans and NB community, where mental health can be a fluctuating thing. Having something like routine or having things that will promote happy things, always good. And on a level of, when we talk about things like body dysphoria, especially if you're not going down a surgical or hormonal route, exercise can be used to really help alleviate symptoms. And as long as you're doing it in a healthy and safe way, we can talk about things like, you have so much potential within your body to feel more comfortable than perhaps you do now. And then if you are taking a hormone of either direction, it will impact your body. And how, exercise is good for anyone. But when you're looking at, some people will think, oh, you're on testosterone, that means you're just going to get really muscly. And you'll gain muscle mass because that's how testosterone works. But if you're looking to look muscular and things like that, then you're going to need to work out. And likewise, if you are reducing muscle mass on estrogen, it is important that you maintain the muscle, because partly there's lots of reasons to maintain muscle as you grow older and things like that, for stability of joints and general overall health. But it's really, exercise, I think, should be an important part of everyone's lives, as long as you do it in a healthy and sustainable way. And do something you enjoy. Don't just go and lift heavy weights if you don't like it. That's not fun. Or do something that you want to do every day. Maybe it is dance, or maybe it's rock climbing, or maybe it's, God, I don't know, skiing. Walking. I like walking.
That casual activity. I just go skiing on a weekend. Standard.
I don't know what you do. I would not put that past you in an instant. If you told me you'd built yourself a dry ski slope out your back garden, I'd be like, yeah, it sounds like something they do. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And during
You're talking to
quarantine-
someone who used to be friends with someone who had a trapeze rig in their garden they made.
Wow.
I trust no one.
That's cool.
That circus skills coming back, isn't it? A more specific question, I suppose, for you, Ellie,
Okay.
and about dance.
Okay.
Because obviously dance is often a very collaborative thing with classes and things like that.
Yeah.
How are you finding that without that collaborative nature?
I mean, honestly, I am literally not doing anything at the minute. So
That's
I
fine.
can't bring myself to
Yeah.
do anything. 'Cause my favourite part about being a performer and taking class and having lessons is being with other people. I'm
Yeah.
very much a people person. So I am kind of literally not doing anything, which is really nice. And I'm trying to take class online, and it's just not happening. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But it is hard when you see your friends who are like posting videos of themselves doing choreo in their kitchen and like really feeling themselves. And I'm just like, I'm just going to sit here and have a glass of wine.
Yeah, yeah.
Because performance and art, and even going to the gym, like if I go to the gym, I go to a class. It is meant to be collaborative, and so I'm just not doing anything, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
There's
It's
that
as
kind
Robyn
of fine line
said.
to be drawn, isn't there?
Yeah.
You what?
There's a bit of jitteriness, I think, over the video. What were you saying, Robyn?
I was just saying it's a fine line between kind of not doing anything is a wonderful thing because it's going to give your body rest time, it's going to let you recover, but eventually, I don't know about you, I get that I get a bit bored and get a bit itchy to do things, and it's when you get that itch, generally it's your body's chance of saying, okay, we want to do stuff now. And also we can't neglect the fact that we're living in incredible times, and there's a lot of stuff going around about collective trauma and kind of how people are processing and handling it. So forgive yourself. But I think it's good to do things that make you feel good. But at the same time, remember why you do them and find that dedication. This is the thing about you won't always be motivated to exercise or dance or do things, but I bet there's something we could find that you could do, even if it was a tiny thing or a challenge or something that could kind of boost you, because it's not giving into it. I suppose it's about remembering your reasons beyond this and about going, okay, why do you love to dance? And if you're not dancing now, why not? And that's not a problem. But this is the
Robyn,
thing.
you're
If you're
so
not doing
lush.
something now, no, I'm just saying this to anyone listening. If you find yourself in a position where you aren't doing things that you did lots of before, ask yourself why. Is it because you're tired? That's completely understandable. But maybe it's because there was something about that wasn't speaking to you, and maybe you want to do it in a new way. Maybe you want to think about how you'd choreograph somebody else, or maybe it's that you haven't found the right kind of Zoom call with your friends, or maybe it's just that you're there going, I just want some time off. My God, I know the three of us have mad lives. What's wrong with taking 3 months off? You know, when you have school breaks, you normally have a summer break.
Yeah.
But
Let
also,
creativity come. Don't squeeze it like toothpaste.
But when I say I'm not doing anything, I mean I'm not doing anything like compared to my normal level. I'm still like I
Right.
walk like
This is
10k
the
a day,
thing.
and I'm still like, yeah, that's not normal, is it? And I walk 10k a day, and I am still doing classes. I'm just not enjoying them. I'm just like, yes, I'll do a fucking Grand Batman exercise, but I'm not going to enjoy it.
So this section of the podcast I have actually neglected on a lot of our previous episodes, but due to popular demand, after the release of our first podcast, I have brought back the quiz. So sorry to previous guests for not including the section,
No.
but the quiz is back. As before,
Oh, okay.
we've got a theme. It's the same theme. All of the answers will begin with the letters T, V, or C, since we're in the TVC podcast.
Oh my God, Misha, I've done one of your quizzes before, and I'm not good at them.
No, I've got this. Thor. Thor is the answer. That begins with T.
Oh my God, let's just get me Greek mythology book out.
There is actually a Greek mythology one, because I just put it in
Oh,
there
I
just
hate
for you,
ya.
Eleanor. All right, are we
hate ya.
ready? I'm going to go with, first person to say buzz is the person to answer. And if you don't answer it right, it goes on to the next person. Are we all right with that?
University challenge. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. basically. Okay, let's start the quiz. Question 1. What novel by Alice Walker, featuring a lesbian lead, was turned into a musical in 2005 and recently revived
Buzz.
Broadway? Yes?
Oh, no, wait. That
Go
doesn't
on.
begin... No, Tip of the Velvet.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh.
That was an answer in the first episode, though, if you listen to that one.
I haven't listened to
Robyn.
it yet, but don't tell
I mean, I
anyone.
want to
haven't
say that
listened
the
to it at all.
musical is Funhouse, but that doesn't begin with either.
No.
It's
I
Fun Home, Robyn.
Fun Home. I'm sorry. To be fair, I haven't been a musical theatre for a while. Which, with a lesbian lead... Can you repeat the question?
So, which novel by Alice Walker, featuring a lesbian lead, was turned into a musical in 2005 and recently revived on Broadway in 2015, winning the
Oh,
Tony?
2005. Oh, God.
V or C?
It won the Tony in 2016 for Best Revival.
I should know this.
Beginning with a T. I don't know.
It actually
I'm
begins
not very
with-
good at quizzes.
So there's a the at the beginning,
Yeah.
but the second word is also beginning T, V or C.
Begins with a V.
No, it's it's the something.
Oh, the. Okay.
Oh.
I work with kids too much. I'm like the. V. The letter is V. A.
Okay, the famous song is I'm Here.
Robyn, I think we just need to give up.
Let's just give up. What is it?
It's The Colour Purple.
Oh my god, of course it is. Of course it's the colour purple. But she's not a lesbian, is she?
that's
She's
fine.
bisexual.
Well, she's
Yeah.
only ever shows any interest in a woman. She marries a man,
Okay.
and she has a
Okay.
very bad relationship with her father. But
Of course
yeah,
it's the colour purple. Of course it's
I mean, I've put on the
Sorry.
term lesbian when I maybe shouldn't have, but yes, she is very much attracted to Sugar Avery. Spoilers. Anyway, number 2. Let's see if we can redeem yourselves. Who is the author of the gender non-conforming novel Orlando?
Buzz.
Yes.
Junior Wolf.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. 1 point to Robyn. Okay, question number 3. In what Shakespeare play will you find Antonio saying to his boyfriend, Sebastian...
Buzz.
Buzz.
Oh, Robyn got there
Merchant of
first.
Venice.
Merchant of Venice.
Wait, Antonio to Sebastian. Oh, that's Tempest.
No.
No, different Antonio.
Buzz,
There you
buzz,
go.
buzz, buzz,
Yes,
buzz,
Eleanor?
buzz. 12th night.
Yes. It's 12th Night.
Yes.
I didn't actually do the quote. I was about to say the quote, which might have helped. I don't know if it would have helped.
Oh, that might have
But,
helped. Sorry. Yeah.
It's too trigger
Apologies.
happy.
There's lots of gay. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
there's
There's a lot
gay.
of gays. Yeah.
Shakespeare.
And Antonios and
gay
Sebastians.
Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a touchy subject for me, that play.
Oh, that's Ferdinand. Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Moving on. We'll get into that later, Eleanor. Maybe just you can talk.
No,
your
it's just because
trauma.
I was meant to be in it this month.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
no. We're just going
I'm
to
fine.
relive it through a quiz instead.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. So we're equally matched now. I think it's 1 point to each of you.
1-1.
Okay. Which Les Mis character serves as the icon for the show?
Buzz. Cosette.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. 2-1.
What do you mean icon?
As in the image.
Picture, the main picture for Les Mis.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, I
Helps
could
if I
have put that
understand the
easily.
question, doesn't it?
Yeah, sorry about that. I took that question off Quiz Online, so it's their fault, not mine.
Disgraceful.
I know. All right, number 5. This is, you're almost neck and neck. If Robyn gets this, they're the winner. If Eleanor gets this, it's a draw, and then I'll do another question off the top of my head if I can. Okay. What style of music, originating from Trinidad and Tobago, shares its name with an ancient Greek nymph that Odysseus stays with for 7 years?
Go fuck yourself, Misia.
It's a very famous Afro-Caribbean style of music.
TV or C?
Yep. She's also a character in Pirates of the Caribbean. if that helps.
Calypso.
Yes, it's Calypso.
Calypso.
Well done. Ding, ding, ding.
Thank you. I needed the Pirates of the Caribbean quiz.
My cat has just entered the room.
Oh,
That's your
hi,
prize.
Kat.
Your prize is to see Freddie. Well done, Robyn.
Yay, baby!
Round of
Good
applause.
baby.
Why is everyone's cat named Freddie?
It was mine
Mine
first.
Isn't that what Pete's cat is called as well?
Yeah, it was my cat first, though.
Right, good, okay.
So Pete is just a pretender.
This is just further telling people that all trans people know each other.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing, is that if you call in a trans person for an audition, not only do we all see each other there, we all know each
Yep.
other.
Yeah.
And we all message each other.
Yeah.
We all talk. I think it's quite funny that people assume we don't. We're like, if you live in London and are an actor and are trans, we probably know of
Yeah.
you, if not directly. It's like the thing in the L word.
It's
Trans
like,
community
yeah.
is small.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And we all talk about your cis nonsense. We're judging you.
Someone has to.
In the group chat, we're judging you.
Right, on that note, we love you,
All right,
Misia.
thank
we
you
love
so
you,
much.
listeners.
Thanks,
And
Mish.
goodbye. Thanks for coming on the podcast.